Okay, and welcome to Utica, New York, home of the Utica Devils. And we're going to get going in just about 2 minutes. And it's going to be your Mid-Fairfield 2010 Junior Rangers against the 2010 Wolfpack out of New Jersey. And this is the final game of a 3-game set over the weekend. And unfortunately, the first 2 games, Mid-Fairfield fell in 2 close games versus Mission out of Chicago and the Junior Pens, the Elite Pens team yesterday. And so today in net, you're going to see Joe Violante will get the start between the pipes for Mid-Fairfield, and that's about it. So with Wolfpack, this is it's a team that we've seen a lot before, but we've got a lot of new names on the team. They merged with primarily the team from Long Island, the Gulls. They took half the Gulls team and half the Wolfpack team, and now you've got the new Wolfpack team. So you'll recognize a lot of the players. We have Chris Conklin, who was, when the boys started out, was at Mid-Fairfield. And Chris is number 93, and he's a dynamic scorer for the Wolfpack. So he's a player to look for. And I know their goalie, Pastor, who was went to the development camp with Chris, the national development camp. He's an outstanding goalie. Jake Conroy, number 44. One of the leading scorers for the Wolfpack. And so we're going to get going in just a minute. And so here, what they do in Utica is there are periods, not halves. So there's going to be 3 17-minute periods. And it seems that about halfway through the second period, what's been happening is they will send the boys off, do an ice cut, so you get about a 10-minute break. And you have to clean up the ice. Was it 2 days ago? There was an adventure with a Zamboni trying to do it. Dug a big hole in the ice and took twice as long. So Chris and Joe do their glove taps. Chris heads to the bench.
Draw mine too. I hope you need it. Are they? I figured you were.
And this is an outstanding facility. The boys are fortunate to be playing here. This is one of the premier rinks. This and the Mario Lemieux rink out in Pittsburgh are my 2 favorites. This, however, is a lot closer, which is nice. And so your starting lineup for today, Yanni Malafis will be at center. He's got Kai Scranton out there with him, and Christian Lopiano. Christian looks like he's moved up now from defense to forward. And then you've got Vinny Zhu and Matty Picaro manning the blue line. Mentioned before, Christian is that utility knife. He does everything well. So Malafis at center, and win by Woodbridge. McCormick throws it up right to Conroy, slides it over, shot into Violante that's blockered aside. And here comes Mid-Fairfield. Malafis trying to turn the Jets on, slides it over to Lopiano, just deflects off of one of the Woodbridge players' skates. Conklin now feeds it up to Conroy. Conroy loses the handle, fights with low piano. The puck goes behind Joe. Conklin up with it to dump it back behind Violante. Cuccaro taps it along the low piano. Little too strong. Sinkley keeps it in from the Wolfpack. Battle along the boards. Puck skips out. Woodbridge back up with it. Here comes McCormick now. Dances around Scranton. Still with the puck. With Fairfield backed up a little bit out in front. High up in the air, and it's tapped away. Scranton battles along with Cuccaro in the corner. A couple of Wolfpack players. Puck now goes to the opposite corner. Zoo tries to shovel it out. Woodbridge keeps it in, but now stolen by mid-Fairfield. And here comes Scranton, who's content to just dump it in. Kept in, shot by mid-Fairfield. Quick shot. Woodbridge looked like they were going to get it out. Okay, so up front we've got Ruff, Lucci, and Correa. Shunk and O'Neill back on D. Ruff at center. Win by Woodbridge. Tap to the opposite corner. Correa gives chase. And Woodbridge is able to break it out. Here comes Phelan from Woodbridge. Shot, pad save by Violante. Another pad save by Violante. And it's out of the zone. Ruggier now up with the puck across the blue line. Talented player, Ruggier. Big shot, whiffed on by Woodbridge. But they managed to, no. They shot it out to their defenseman, goes out of the zone. The goalie's forced to field it. Tipped by Ludke. And Pan loses the puck in the neutral zone, but then Woodbridge overshoots it and it's turned back over by mid-Fairfield. Ruggier now looks to control the puck, slides it over to his teammate. Beck with the active forecheck behind the net. It's tipped out. Johnston comes in. Johnston up with the puck, slides it over to Hurl. Hurl along the blue line, throws it up in the air, bounding puck behind the Woodbridge goalkeeper. Tisdale is able to throw it up to Fournier. Puts it in the front to Foy, unable to connect cleanly. Still battling in the corner. Mid-Fairfield now up with it. Here comes Johnston across the neutral zone and dumps it in, high up into the air. Foy now up with it, slides it to Tisdale, cross center ice. Tisdale now into the mid-Fairfield zone. Behind Violante, Woodbridge goes. And stolen by Boudry, but turned back over in the neutral zone. Violante is able to field it, throw it to the opposite corner. Ware gives chase along with LeConte, and it's thrown down, and that's going to be an icing call. So with 13:15 left in the first period, mid-Fairfield and Woodbridge still scoreless. So you've got Figurino, Ware, and LeConte up front with Drew and Cuccaro. Win by Woodbridge. And they look to break it out of their own zone. Cuccaro able to sweep it out of the mid-Fairfield zone. Woodbridge recovers though, dumps back in. Cuccaro behind Violante. Here comes Figurino now against three Woodbridge players. And he's hammered into the boards and knocked down to the ice. Here comes Conroy now, gains the mid-Fairfield zone, hits the brakes. Onto the side of Violante. McCormick now. Oh, no. didn't make it out to him. And here comes Scranton across center ice. And a good poke check by McCormick to free the puck from Scranton. Malefus with a forecheck, leaves it for Vartanian, turns and shoots, but it's blocked off by a couple of Woodbridge players. O'Neill shovels it over to Shunk. Shunk's got some skating room, but tries to feed Malefus, misfires. Just back and forth the turnovers go until finally Woodbridge gains control, gets them in Fairfield zone. Good passing back and forth by Woodbridge. And tapped in. Just that was just a clinic of passing from Woodbridge. Passed it about 6 or 7 times, none of the players holding it for more than 2 or 3 seconds, and finally got Joe out of position and is there for the tap-in. So Mid-Fairfield down by 1, 11:28. So Mid-Fairfield is struggling mightily to score so far this season, is already down in this game early, so gonna have to clamp down defensively. Correa on the forecheck, and it's dumped in, icing waved off. Johnston up with the puck, leaves it for Correa. Icing again, waved off. Johnston gives chase, but Woodbridge able to control. Stolen by Correa, out in front. Johnston battling along the glass. Over to Hurl, tries to slide it to Boudry, a little too strong. And it skips off into the benches. So at 10:47, we're gonna have a face-off. The refs are talking about it's gonna be in the Woodbridge zone. Mid-Fairfield down by 1. We've got Beck out there with Pan and Johnston. Zoo and Gaccaro on the blue line. So win by Woodbridge. Controls the puck. Over to McCormick. Onto Violante. He's able to cover it up with the glove. 10:33 left in the first period. So still battling for possession. Woodbridge up with it. Fournier shot. Little too high. Woodbridge looks to reload. Fournier with another shot, deflects off of Violante. Picaro now behind Violante. Slides it back over to Zoo. And turned over, shot. And it's gloved by Joe. 10:02 left. Mid-Fairfield with a costly turnover right in the slot. But Joe able to avoid that bullet. So coach will change the lineup here. So we got Shunk and O'Neill out on D with Bear, LeConte, and Figurino. And that one just skipped right in. So shot into the Woodbridge zone. Malefus trying to get it to Lopiano, a little too strong. Woodbridge now, a little too strong, out to the blue line. Gajira up with it, and it deflects off a Scranton stick over into the corner. And out of the mid-Fairfield zone. Gajira now back up with it. Overskates it, but comes back up with the puck. He's got the puck again. Slides it over to DeMarco. Deflects off a couple of players. All right, we got a stoppage in play here at 8:48. It's going to be a couple of players heading off to the penalty box here. Boudry lost his bucket. Going at it with one of the Woodbridge players. Well after the play was Harris from Woodbridge, so they're going to head off for a roughing call. Rough at the center. Still battling, ref right in the way. Mid-Fairfield comes up with it, and Correa's able to dump it in. Correa gives chase. But Woodbridge back up with the puck. Conklin thrown off by Ruff. Nice play by Lucas Ruff. But again, Woodbridge back up with the puck. Lucas looks annoyed on this shift, going after every Woodbridge player he can find. Ludke hammers him into the board, and where Ludke was able to check one of the players in, the door opened up, and Lucas Ruff obviously with an effective shift there, because as he was skating away, well after the play, one of the Woodbridge players swatted at him. So Beck, Pan, and Johnston back out there with Drew and Picaro. Beck at center. So win by Woodbridge. Oh, but Johnston comes in, tries to help out, but still Woodbridge back up with it and turns it over temporarily. Johnston's still battling for it, but Woodbridge, oh, now stolen by Pan, but thrown back over to Woodbridge. And Bisdell up with it now, tries to control it. Picaro up with the errant pass. Picaro turns it over though, out in front. Saved by Violante, beautiful pad save by Joe there. It's turned over by mid-Fairfield, right in the slot. And here comes Johnston. He's gonna be outnumbered, so he holds up. Johnston now with the forecheck. And across center ice goes Warner. Beck now up with the puck, but just throws it into the neutral zone. McCormick dances around, throws it up to his teammate. Sinqui now hits the brakes. Woodbridge tries to get set up, but turns it over. And here comes Malefis with a full head of steam. Malefis gets by one defenseman, but loses the handle on the puck. O'Neill back up with it, shot that's blocked off of the Woodbridge behind. And here comes Woodbridge now. They've got a 3-on-2 into the slot, but nice stick work by Malefis. Dislodge the puck. Lopiano and Malefis helping out in the corner, but now Woodbridge up with it. On their blue lines, McCormick saved by Violante with the blocker. Lopiano going at it with one of the players, former teammates. Scranton now entangled with one of the Woodbridge players. Woodbridge back up in control, dumps it in on the side of Violante. He's Shunk, still battling. Shunk now finally emerges with the puck. He's looking for a teammate, but stolen by Woodbridge. Shot and deflects off of Violante's glove. So mid-Fairfield, that's about the third or fourth time in 10 minutes that they've turned it over right in front of Violante. And credit Joe, he's been able to turn away most of them. But just getting too careless with the puck in that slot area. And Violante, despite giving up 2 goals, it could have been a lot worse. Regier now up with it. And turned over. Here comes Ludke. Ludke throws it to the opposite corner. It's tapped in by mid-Fairfield. Regier now up with it. Throws it into the neutral zone. Mid-Fairfield now controls. Pearl dumps in. Woodbridge goalie moves it along, but not far enough. But it was stolen by Woodbridge. Into the slot, shot. Violante screened, but luckily too high was the puck. But again, here comes DeMarco now, throws it into the opposite corner. Figurino ridden into the boards. Tries to throw it over to Ware and does. Pearl now up with it, cross-ice pass to Ware. Deep into the Woodbridge zone, throws it out. Conklin up with it. Conklin hammered to the ice by Ware. Ware now up with it, but he's got 4 Woodbridge players on him and turns it over to Conroy from Woodbridge. Zoo dumps it back into the Woodbridge zone. Mid-Fairfield just unable to get anything going offensively here. Battle in the corner. Beck is there. Beck with Pan. With Johnston. Johnston now with a shot. Too wide. And here comes Woodbridge. Waiting for their teammates to come on side. There's Martineau. Martineau taps back in. And now Beck up with the puck. Tries to feed Johnston, but Johnston's blanketed by one of the Woodbridge players. Piano gives chase, but it's dumped into the mid-Fairfield zone behind Violante. McCormick now up with it. Shot deflects off of Cacaro's stick, but Woodbridge still in control. Thrown out of the zone to Sinkley. McCormick now dumps it back in. Side of Violante. It's turned back over to mid-Fairfield. Cross-ice pass to Correa. Malefis gives chase. Another shot. Deflects off a couple of people. Correa with a nice hit. The turnover battle goes at center ice. Regier finally controls it. Leaves it for Fournier. Out into the slot. Nice passing by Woodbridge, but unable to connect. Still battling in the corner. Woodbridge up with it, finally loses it to Shunk. Shunk just trying to settle things down here. Taps it over to Ludke, who just throws it out of the zone, and that's going to be an icing. So 1:34 left in the first period. Mid-Fairfield down by 2. Woodbridge with the win. Out to Regier, shot into the stomach of Violante. So you've got Ludke, LeConte, and Ruff out there. And then Pearl and Boudry as your defenseman. So win by Mid-Fairfield, Lucas Ruff. Lucas Ruff desperately trying to just take the puck by any means necessary, forces it into the Woodbridge zone, but here they come. Lukey up with the errant pass, throws it to Boudry. Over to Hurl. Nice pass by Hurl to LeConte. And the goalie's able to cover it up. So it says there's 6 shots on the Woodbridge goalie. I'm finding that even hard to believe. That's about the first time he's moved in about 10 minutes. Mid-Fairfield, just not many shots in this first period. So you've got Pan and Beck out there. Zoo and Cuccaro. And also Ware. Turnover, Cuccaro there. Throws it up to Pan. Beck throws it to the opposite corner over to Ware. Dumps it back in. Fisdell throws it over. Woodbridge gains the zone. Good crisp passing in the Mid-Fairfield zone is Woodbridge. And that's it. So we're going to take a short break and be right back with you.
Something new? Just the period. Yeah.
Jameson. So do you know how to turn the sound on? It's okay. Yeah. Oh, it's on. You didn't shut it off. Okay, and welcome back to the second period. Mid-Fairfield with a win. Malefus gets it over to Lopiano, a little too strong, and here comes Woodbridge again. Foy now up with the puck into the mid-Fairfield zone. Foy hits the brakes, but he's met by Zoo. Out to Ruggier. Shot along the ice out in front. There's about 3 Woodbridge players right out in front of Joe. Fournier up with it, but turns it over, but dumped back in. Woodbridge is like a dog on a bone trying to get these pucks. Ruggier now up. Shot a little too high on Violante. Malefus tries tapping it over to Scranton. Again, kept in by Woodbridge. Shot, loose. So Violante made the save and it bounced off his chest, but Joe gets there first. 15:53. Ruff at center. He's got Correa out there with him. And it's like Lukey. And Woodbridge back up with the pass. Lukey with the steal gets it over to Shunk. Shunk now with some skating room. Throws it over to Correa. Correa dumps in. Lukey with the steal on the side of the goalkeeper. Correa tries throwing it back to Shunk, but not enough on it. And here comes Woodbridge as Conroy gets by mid-Fairfield defenseman. Nice save by Violante. Again, that's about the 3rd or 4th time that Joe has made a save that he probably shouldn't have. So, outstanding goalie work by Violante, steal by Johnston. Slides it over to Pan, but Woodbridge with a good back check gets there first. Bisdell now up with the puck. And into the neutral zone. Bisdell back up with it, dumps it back in. Johnston now up with it, turns it over, and here comes Woodbridge out in front. So Joe made the initial save, and then the Woodbridge player dove right into him, but Joe managed to keep the puck out into the crease. Joe's working hard so far in the net today. I think the shots on goal are significantly off, but as a goalie father, you know. So win by Woodbridge, but thrown out by mid-Fairfield. Cross center ice, they gain the mid-Fairfield zone, but turned it over. The Kant tries getting it to Ware, but then stolen by Woodbridge. And another nice save by Violante. Violante with 2 Woodbridge players right in front of him is able to come out with a save. So Joe is keeping this as a 2-0 deficit. It could have been a lot worse so far. Malefus at center. Picaro now up with it behind Violante. Over to Lopiano. He throws it out into the neutral zone. Ruggier gives chase from Woodbridge. Settles the puck down. Malefus on the forecheck. With Lopiano. Lopiano steals shot. Pad save by the goalie. So Christian shot 1 shot, and somehow the Woodbridge goalie was credited with 2 shots on goal, which is always interesting. But Mid-Fairfield with his first shot on goal in quite some time. So there's going to be an icing against Woodbridge. So just to the side of the Woodbridge goalkeeper, you'll have Malefus, Lopiano, and Scranton. On the blue line, you've got Cacaro and Zoo. Malefus at center. Woodbridge with the win. They tap it back. D-to-D pass up to Fournier. A little too hard. And the puck skips down to Violante. He just covers up. So coach will run with the same group here. Swatted out, low piano. But here comes Woodbridge. Dumps it back in is Thisdale. Thisdale gives chase. It's all over Cacaro. And now here comes Malefus. He's got Scranton. Scranton gets by Regier but hits the brakes. He's looking for his defenseman, but Mid-Fairfield gone for a shift change. Over to Correa, shot, and it's in! So beautiful work by Cullen Correa, picking a corner and slicing the Woodbridge lead in half. Literally, Mid-Fairfield's had about 2 shots in the last 10 minutes, but they put one in. So assist by Malefus and the goal by Correa. Mid-Fairfield needed that. So Lucas Ruff at center, he's got Correa and Lukey. O'Neill and Shunk out on D. Lukey dances around the blue line, decides to skate and then dump it in. Woodbridge goalkeeper shovels it along. And here comes Woodbridge. They decide to set up shop here. Shot way wide. Burtz now slides it over. Burtz now at the top of the key. Shot. I believe Violante got a part of it with his pad, but now Woodbridge looks to reload, and it's forced out by Lukey into the neutral zone. Conklin slides it over to Burtz, cross center ice, and Violante stops the puck. So 11:28. Mid-Fairfield down 2-1. Sinqui slides it over. And here comes Mid-Fairfield. Beck now loses the handle at center ice. Sinqui back up with it. Nice passing, but stolen by Beck. Beck just trying to get by Warner, and does. Beck still with the puck, but it's scooped up by the Woodbridge goalkeeper. 10:57 left in the second period. Figurino at center. Figurino now tries to get a shot on the goalkeeper. Unable to get one clean. Still a battle along the glass. And here comes Woodbridge. on the side of Violante. Pearl now collects, dumps it over for LeConte. Loses the puck to Sinkley. Fairfield can come out with it. Here they go. Pearl is able to dump it into the corner. And it's thrown out aimlessly. LeConte gives chase. LeConte back up with it. Caccaro's able to dump it back deep into the Woodbridge zone. Woodbridge looks to break it out. And they do. Fournier tries to split the defenseman. But mid-Fairfield comes up with the puck with Zoo. Zoo reverses course, gets it to Vartanian. They turn it over to Woodbridge. Out in front, saved by Violante with the pad. Joe's able to stop play here. 9:08 left. So we're coming up on the ice cut, but they're gonna go another minute or so. So Malefus at center. Win by Woodbridge is Conklin. Dumped back in. Zoo gives chase, but Woodbridge back up with it. Nice play by Lopiano to deny that passing lane there. Conklin reverses course, throws it back to his teammate. Now Woodbridge cycling around, shot saved by Violante with a blocker. And here comes mid-Fairfield, Lopiano trying to get it to Scranton. Gets it to Caccaro. And dump back in onto Violante. Scranton now back up with it. This is the problem mid-Fairfield's been having. They just can't seem to get it out of their own zone. Woodbridge doing a fantastic job pressuring mid-Fairfield into turnover after turnover. And Lopiano's finally able to dump it out, but there's going to be an icing. 7:42, and I think that's, let's see if they do the ice cut here. Yeah, I think they're going to do that, so we're going to take a short break and be back at it and bring you the second half. right, and welcome back. I don't have a cameraman right now. Oh, I think I will be getting a camera woman shortly. So, we're going to get going here with 7:42 left in the second period. We're still waiting for Woodbridge. So the refs are out, Fairfield's out, but Woodbridge is not out. And I suspect they were maybe thinking they would have a few more goals by now. But listen, Violante's played, this is a good game for Joe so far. As I said in the beginning part of the game, there's been 3 or 4 chances that Joe's made saves here that he probably shouldn't have. And that's when you know as a goalie you're kind of locked in. So Joe with a real good game so far, keeping his teammates in it. And that's what you want to do as Fairfield, is just kind of hang around, maybe get some puck luck. The next few minutes are going to be real important for Fairfield to withstand any punches thrown by Woodbridge. All right, so we're going to get going here, and despite being tardy, Woodbridge is going to have a team meeting over by their bench. They'll get going here. So you've got Ruff out there with Correa. It looks like Ludke. Ludke overskates it and stumped back in by Woodbridge. Ruff able to tap it over to Hurl. Hurl across the glass, gets it over to Ludke. Ruff now up with it, gets it to Ludke. Ludke unable to handle it cleanly though. Kept in by Hurl, throws it in. But again, here comes Woodbridge through the neutral zone. A little too strong as Sinkley picks up the errant pass. Stolen by Ludke, and the slot shot misses the net. Correa is able to throw it back over. Ludke gives chase. Dumps it back behind the Woodbridge goalkeeper. Both teams seem to be moving a little slowly here. Out in front is Violante, and Sinkley was standing there all by himself. Violante able to get to the puck first and scoops it up. Some pushing and shoving. Nothing too serious. So Malefus at center. He's got Scranton out there with him. And Pan. Lopiano. He's got Shunk and O'Neill on D. I gotta clean my glasses. So win by Woodbridge. Conklin dumps it in a little further. Malefus still trying to force the puck out. Something that Fairfield struggled with all day, just breaking the puck out. Malefus now trying to gain the Woodbridge zone, but loses the handle. And the puck skips off into the Fairfield bench. So coach will run with the same group here. Shunk and O'Neill on D. Scranton picks up the puck, dumps it further in. Woodbridge again is trying to get the puck out. And just molested by Scranton, the Woodbridge player. And here, Woodbridge finally breaks it out. But ridden down by Scranton. Rogier now passes it out in front. Shot and beats Violante over the shoulder. So Woodbridge just threw up a puck on Violante that he didn't see. So Mid-Fairfield, after cutting it in half, Woodbridge responds now with a goal. And so they're up 3-1. So Beck at center with Pan and Johnston. Zoo and Picaro out on D. And turned over. Dump back into the zone. Thrown back in. Johnston ridden off into the boards. Pan and Johnston working it. And Beck comes in to steal it, but turns it over in the neutral zone. And there's going to be an offside here. Figurino with center with LeConte and Ware. Picaro and Zoo back on D. Picaro now behind Violante and leaves it for Zoo. Finally, Mid-Fairfield able to break the press, and LeConte dumps it deep into the Woodbridge zone. Boudry now dumps it in. Figurino gives chase. Woodbridge dumps it in on the side of Violante. Boudry now up with it, taps it off the glass and out of the zone, but dumped right back in, delayed offside. It's a turnover by Mid-Fairfield there. Luckily, the puck gets out of the zone. Foy now up with it, slides it to Fournier. A save by Violante. .331 left in the second period. Mid-Fairfield down by 2. Ruff at center. Win by Mid-Fairfield. Boudry slides it over to Lutke. And a battle in the corner. Kicked out. Here comes Lukey, chases the puck, gets down there first. Lukey still with the puck. Dumps it back in. Fournier up with the puck, gets it over to Warner. Warner with a save, or sorry, pass to Sinkley, saved by Violante. Sinkley with a steal, but Boudry there to intercept, but then it's turned over to Conklin. Sinkley now up with it, slides it to the opposite corner. Sinkley back up with it at the blue line. He's harassed by Correa. Shot by Woodbridge behind Violante. The puck goes. Woodbridge keeps the puck alive in the mid-Fairfield zone. Ruggier now back up with it. Oh, so Boudry going at it with one of the Woodbridge players. He gets sucker punched. Good job by Boudry not responding. So we'll see what the call is. So it looks like there's going to be offsetting penalties, which is surprising because the Woodbridge player just dropped Boudry to the ice right in front of the refs. We're going to be matching penalties. So mid-Fairfield with a clean win. But Lopiano turns it over at the glass. Woodbridge back up with the puck. Here comes Woodbridge. Woodbridge still with the puck as Thisdale, but turns it over to Malefus, gets it to Lopiano. All right, I think we're going to have a makeup call here, actually. Well, no. Lopiano heads to the box, also with one of the Woodbridge players.
That's fun.
So it looked like it was a pretty clean penalty against Lopiano, but not sure what they're calling on Lopiano. And these refs, for some reason, aren't signaling what the penalty is. So again, offsetting penalties. So Malefus at center, he's got Beck out there with Scranton. Win by Woodbridge. Shunk doing a nice job. Scranton now up. He's got Malefus with him. Loses the handle and out of the zone. Good job by Shunk using the long stick. Woodbridge up with it, turns and shoots on Malefus. Saved by Joe with the glove there. 58 seconds left. We've got Ruff at center. We've got Correa out there. With Woodkey. Picaro and Zoo win by mid-Fairfield. Correa now up with it, throws it on the glass. Correa now up with it, taps it over to Luke. He's dumped to the ice, and the puck trickles down to the Woodbridge goalkeeper, who covers up. 43.5 seconds left in the second period. Mid-Fairfield down by 2. So Rupp still at center. Rupp kicks the puck out to Picaro. Picaro throws it in. Zoo pinches up. But here comes Woodbridge. Warner now up with it. Shot. Misses the net. Lukey now gets it over to Correa. Correa tries sliding it over to Ruff. Unable to hit. Correa back up with it over to Lukey. He's thrown off the puck, and here comes Woodbridge. Foy now races up the ice. Saved by Violante with a pad. And that's it. So at the end of 2, we're going to take a short break here, and we'll be back at it for the third period. Mid-Fairfield down by 2.
My turn? You're good? Critique it. Critique it. What's going on? Oh, we're in Boston. We're in at home, at their home. Oh, you have no. Why you don't play that game? The refs in it. What was it? Was it the girlfriend? Yeah, it was the girlfriend of the kid's brother. Yeah. Somehow she made a lot of calls against them. I think she listened to nothing to that. Yeah. Crazy. All right. Well, good luck.
Okay, and we're back at it for the third period. So 17 minutes left to decide if Mid-Fairfield will be able to cut into this lead. So you've got Malafis, Vartanian, and Scranton up front. Boudry and Hurl. Boudry just throws the puck into the Woodbridge zone. Refs are undecided what to do here, but they're going to now take the face off just outside the Mid-Fairfield zone. Coach will run with the same group here. And win clean by Woodbridge. Gier tries to throw it up, but bounces off Vartanian's skate. But again, Woodbridge still there. Met by Boudry, goes down hard. Nice play by Malafis to avoid the hit. Malafis gets around one defenseman. Leaves it for Scranton's shot, blocked by the Woodbridge player. Looked like Scranton was going to have a shooting lane there. Malafis working hard. Over to Vartanian's shot, deflects off the goalkeeper. And Gier dumps it into the opposite corner. Boudry now gives up the puck. Throws it across ice, and that's going to be an icing on Mid-Fairfield. So 16:05 left. We got Beck out there with Pan, Johnston, Picaro and Zoo on D. Puck skips off the opposite corner. Zoo gets it over to Kikaro. Over to Pan, to Beck. Beck's met and leaves it for Johnston. Johnston gets a step, shot, and it's in! So Johnston was able to take a shot off the goalie's pad. Puck came right back into him, and he was able to tip it back in. So Mid-Fairfield is able to cut the lead in half again. So even though they say 12 shots on the Wolfpack goalie, I think that's being generous. So Mid-Fairfield's able to, despite the lack of shots, has been able to put 2 past them. So at 15:47, we have a game here. Fisdale now up with the puck. It's met by Zoo. Zoo races around with him. And Fairfield just trying to get it out of the zone here. And they do, out to the neutral zone. Ruggier up with it. Ruggier, nice pass. Mid-Fairfield, Picaro dislodges the puck. Beck able to tip it over into the corner. Woodbridge looks to regroup in their own zone. And Fairfield. Good passing by Woodbridge, but turns it over. Warner had it, looks like a clear shot on Violante. Midfield unable to gain the zone, bounding puck. Shunk picks it up. Oh, out in front, shot onto Violante that's a little wide. LeConte is trying to get the puck out. Unable to do so. And here's Sinkwe, passes it over to McCormick. Shot, blocked out in front. Shunk trying to throw it out, but Woodbridge keeps the puck in. Fairfield just unable to get the puck out entirely. And finally, LeConte is able to get it into the neutral zone. Mid-Fairfield goes for a shift change. Sinkwe harassed by Correa. Correa loses his stick, and Conklin dumps the puck in the Mid-Fairfield zone. Again, dumped back into the Mid-Fairfield zone. Just some careless passing by Mid-Fairfield, finally able to break it out. Ruggier passes it over, and stolen by Correa, who gets it to Ludke. Mid-Fairfield forced to retreat. Hurl races back to pick up the errant pass. Throws it over to Ludke, but a little too hard on Ludke's stick. Correa now leaves it for Ludke. He's got Ruff with him. Hurl now up with it. Tipped by Ruff out in front. There's Correa. Blast shot off of the Mid-Fairfield players. Conklin now up with it. Stolen by Scranton, who leaves it for Lopiano, gains the zone. Lopiano now behind the Woodbridge net, but turns it back over to Woodbridge. Malefus forces the puck to be dislodged. Boudry now. Woodbridge still with the puck. Out in front, shot by Fisdale. Picaro now up with it, throws it over to Boudry. A little too hard. Scranton's able to lift the puck out. Lopiano, he tries to connect to Malefus, but stolen by Woodbridge, and here they come again. Shot, saved by Violante, and pushed out into the neutral zone. Sinqui gives chase. Tipped into the mid-Fairfield zone. Zoo races back. Zoo with some skating room. It's stolen by Woodbridge as mid-Fairfield tried to break it out to Pan. Again, stolen by Woodbridge. But here comes mid-Fairfield back up with it. Pan now. Pan's got some time here, and he's hammered into the glass. Over to Pan, back to back, and it's in! Devin Beck is able to slam one home. And mid-Fairfield is able to get the equalizer here. So nice play by Pan to keep on that puck. And Devin Beck races in to slam one past the goalkeeper. And Woodbridge is going to take a timeout here. So that's one thing we were talking about in the first period is Violante had a very big first period and very big, I would say, second period, and he kept them in it, making 3 or 4 just tremendous saves to keep mid-Fairfield in the game, prevent Woodbridge from going up 4 or 5 to nothing. Mid-Fairfield just kept hanging around and hanging around and hanging around. And now with a little bit of puck luck, Pan and Beck are able to get mid-Fairfield the equalizer here. We've got 10:52 to decide this game. You can hear the Woodbridge coach all over his charges. So mid-Fairfield refusing to go away quietly in the night. And they've got it even here. So coach will run with the same group that scored. So Beck at center. And the puck races back to the Woodbridge goalkeeper. Cross ice pass, but Beck gets there, but now turned over to Woodbridge. Bunch of players still going at it in the corner. You can see Woodbridge is charged up here. Pearl now gets it over to Boudry, who taps it over to Pan, a little too strong. Here comes Woodbridge, shot, and a little wide there. Woodbridge is flying around here now. Nice play by Hurl to deny the puck. And here comes mid-Fairfield is Johnston, who dumps it in. Now Correa races in, steals the puck, and shoots it on net. And a shot by Shunk a little wide. And a steal by Ruff. Dumps Conroy to the ice. O'Neill gets it over to Ludke, who dumps in. Shovels it down, 9:27 left. Ruff races down. Woodbridge gets there first. Oh, but stolen. High up into the air, a shot. So LeConte had a point-blank shot in the slot. The puck deflect high up into the air, and they're going to call a high stick here on Lucas Ruff, and that does not help mid-Fairfield. have one of its best players in the box here or something like that. So Mid-Fairfield tied it up a few minutes ago, but now it's going to go on a very important penalty kill. It's important, just careful with the puck here. Scranton throws it the length of the ice. Malefus with a forecheck, and you got to watch Yanni Malefus here. He is dangerous on the short-handed opportunities, using that stick to poke one free and race down the ice. McCormick now up with it at his own blue line. Shot, saved by Violante, sticked over to the side. McCormick now up with it, circles back. Shot, tipped off into the opposite corner. Scranton over there. Nice play by Scranton to tie it up. And here comes Woodbridge. The top of the key. Shot, saved by Violante. Scranton doing a nice job tying the puck up there. And the ref blows the whistle. I was a little quick on that whistle. So your penalty killers now, you've got Hurl out there with Beck and Perret and Boudry. Win by Woodbridge. Tisdale now up with it. Conroy now dances along the glass. Tisdale back up with it. Sinqui passes it along. Sinqui mishandles it, but gains control. Sinqui back, pass over. Nice block by Hurl. And thrown out of the zone. Beck races down. Forces Woodbridge to leave the zone. Bizel now gains the Mid-Fairfield zone. The side of Violante. Errant pass, Sinqui dumps back in. Bizel behind Violante, out in front. Just mishandled by Woodbridge. They were gonna have a point-blank shot on Joe. Dumped into the corner. Hurl falls down. Regier back up with it. Shot. Deflects off of Boudry's skate. Back out to Regier. Nice job by Mid-Fairfield, and here comes Hurl with the errant pass. And LeConte gets just enough of it to avoid the icing. Raises off into the corner. And Fairfield still battling here. 6:10 left in the game. Turned over at center ice. Figurino now up with the puck. Falls hard down to the ice and into the Mid-Fairfield bench. So 5:57 left. We're all tied at 3 here. Fairfield killing off the penalty to Ruff. Now Ruff's back at center with Lukey and Perret. Got Shunk and O'Neill out on defense. Puck goes back to Violante, fields the puck. Stops play here, 5:52 left. So coach will run with the same group here. Ruff at the center. So win by Mid-Fairfield. Here comes Lukey. Slides it over to Correa. Correa falls down. And here comes Woodbridge, shot way wide. Fournier. Oh, Fournier is dumped by Correa. Shot by Sinkway, blocked by one of the players out in front. It's nice to see Cullen hitting like that. Dumping a player significantly larger than he is. Forecheck by Ludke. Conroy turns it over at center ice, but then Woodbridge gains the puck and loses it again. Here comes Ludke, who throws it into the Woodbridge zone. Woodbridge still with a puck, and that's got to be an offside there, no call. Battle along, Conklin comes up with it. Conklin tries to get a shot, but that's blocked. And here comes mid-Fairfield. They might have some numbers. Oh, they just couldn't make a pass. Lopiano had a shot with Malefus there. Conklin now passes it over, shot, and it's in. So Malefus back at center with Scranton and Lopiano. Oh, stolen by Malefus. Malefus in the slot, shot just wide. So stolen by Malefus, he's trying to hit Lopiano. And here comes Tisdale. Zoo with a nice play, but gets it out in front. Nobody home. McCormick now up with it. Blocker saved by Violante. DeGier now. Shot by Foy, saved by Violante. And here comes Scranton, along with Beck. And here comes Coccaro now, who dumps it back in. Johnston gives chase. Pearl pinches in. Pearl now emerges with the puck, leaves it for Pan, gets it over to Johnston. Back out to Hurl. Oh, and it's stolen by Woodbridge. Violante is able to make a nice save there to keep the puck out of the net. Boudry slides it over a little too hard, and out it goes. Beck races over, though, tries to get there first. Boudry now up with the puck, gets it over to Coccaro. Woodbridge races in, steals the puck though. Two minutes left in the game. Saved by Violante. I think he got a piece of the puck and then the crossbar helped him out. And Joe's able to stop play here, 1:48 left. So it looks like Grags is going to take a timeout here. So next weekend, more appropriately, Mid-Fairfield will be up in the Boston area playing against, let's see, New Hampshire. I don't know if that's the Mountain Kings or Spa. And then River Rats and EC Militia. So the Features always enjoy that because it's much closer to their house. But for people like the Becks and for the Shugs, that's quite a hike. But we'll be in the Boston area next weekend. So 147 left in this matchup. Mid-Fairfield down by a goal. Had it tied late. Some pretty good goaltending by Joe Violante, keeping his team in the game. Also next weekend, I know you have E.J. Feach's debut for the Yale Bulldogs next week. There's some learn to play action for Yale. It's always been big in the Feach household. EJ is my precocious grandson. Good Fairfield with a win. Carl overskates it. Woodbridge now up with a puck. Woodbridge would just be content to just ride this rest of this out. Shot off of Zoo's stick. We're gonna have a hold. Let's see. Woodbridge player is in just amazed. He's in denial right here that this penalty's on him. So this will make things a little spicier for Mid-Fairfield as Woodbridge heads to the penalty box here for the last 126 left of the game. So your power play got Correa, Malefus, Lukey, Ruff, Picaro, and Scranton. Scranton back to Malefus. Malefus comes in, deflects off a player. Caro keeps in, back over to Kikaro at the top of the key. Scranton now, back to Malefus. Oh, looks so rough. Nice play by Mid-Fairfield to keep it in though, but again, turned back over. So Violante has been pulled. So Mid-Fairfield with a two-man advantage here, last minute to play. Scranton harassed, and now two players on him, breaks it, gets it to Correa, over to Malefus. Malefus gains the zone, but then loses the puck. Scranton's still helping out his teammate and thrown out. So Correa's gonna have to race down. Last 35 seconds here. Mid-Fairfield still with a chance. They're gonna have to hustle though. And credit Woodbridge, they're just tying the puck up. "15 seconds. Mid-Fairfield unable to get any shots on net here, despite a two-man advantage. Joe heads back to the net. Malefus at center. Picaro now races over, and again it's going to get tied up. They're going to say it was a hand pass on Conroy. So Mid-Fairfield gains the benefit there, and it comes out of their zone a little further down. So Scranton takes the face off. Over to Malefus. 6 seconds left. And that's it, folks. So that'll be the game. So we will see you next week. Drive home safe. Thanks, Marlene.
Yeah. So close, so close. Oh yeah, so close.
That had a nice one.